The salvage yards of Station Meridian 7 were loud, dirty, and forgotten. Most people who lived on the station never visited this section. The air smelled like old metal and burnt wiring. Broken ships floated in the vacuum outside, waiting to be cut apart and sold for parts. Sung liked it here. He was 22 years old, thin and quiet. His dark hair was always messy, and his hands were always stained with grease. He wore the same gray work suit every day. Nobody paid attention to him. That was exactly what he wanted. Today, he was cutting apart an old cargo ship. There were tall aliens with 4 arms and scales that shone like copper. They built their ships to last, but this one had been abandoned after a reactor leak. Most salvage workers would strip the obvious parts and move on. Sung was more careful. He crawled into a narrow space behind the main console. His flashlight showed dust and old wires. But there, hidden behind a false panel, he found what he was looking for. A secondary processor unit. Designed but modified. Someone had upgraded this ship in secret, probably for smuggling. The processor was worth more than his entire month's salary. Sung smiled and put it in his bag, another piece for his collection. He worked until the station lights dimmed for the evening cycle. Then he cleaned his tools, clocked out, and walked through the narrow corridors toward the lower levels. The station was old and crowded. Humans and a dozen other species lived here together. Some were traders, some were workers, many were running from something. Sung passed food stalls and repair shops. A group of miners pushed past him without looking. They were short and thick, with gray skin and small eyes. Strong workers but not friendly to humans. Sung did not mind. He was not here to make friends. His quarters were small. A bed, a sink, a storage locker. He dropped his bag on the floor and sat down. For a moment he just breathed. 10 years ago he had been a child on a colony transport. His parents were teachers, moving to a new settlement on the outer worlds. The transport had been attacked by pirates near the border. Sung remembered the screaming, the explosions, the bodies floating in space. He survived because he hid in a cargo container. Rescue ships found him 3 days later. He was the only survivor from 200 passengers. After that he moved from station to station. Orphan programs, work camps. Eventually he learned to fix things. Engines, computers, weapons systems. He was good at it, very good, but he never showed anyone just how good. Sung ate a simple meal and then left his quarters again. This time, he went deeper into the station, to sections that were officially abandoned. Old cargo bays that nobody used anymore. He had rented one of them through a fake company name. The records showed it was storage for mining equipment. He opened the heavy door and stepped inside. The lights came on automatically. There it was, his real work. The ship filled most of the cargo bay. It was not large compared to military vessels, maybe 40 meters long, but its design was strange, beautiful. The hull was smooth and dark, made from materials he had collected over 6 years. The engines were a mix of human and technology. The weapon systems came from places he preferred not to remember. Sung walked around the ship slowly, checking every surface. He called it the Songbird, a small name for something deadly. He climbed inside and sat in the pilot's chair. The screens came alive around him. Systems were 87% complete. He needed a few more power regulators and some shield generators. Maybe 2 more months of work. 6 years. That was how long he had been building this ship. Every credit he earned went into materials. Every free hour went into construction. He taught himself engineering from stolen technical manuals. He learned alien languages so he could read their ship designs. He practiced combat simulations until he could fly and fight in his sleep. All because of a promise he made to himself in that cargo container. He would never be helpless again. Never. The next day, Sung went to a parts auction in the trading district. These auctions sold items from ships that had been abandoned or seized. Most buyers were looking for common parts. Sung was looking for something specific. When the auctioneer held up a set of power cores, Sung raised his hand. The cores were old but well-maintained, perfect for his shield system. He bought them for a reasonable price and arranged delivery to his fake company address. He did not notice the watching him from across the room. Merchant was a trader with connections to the syndicate. He had 4 arms, copper scales, and eyes that missed nothing. He had seen the young human at several auctions now, always buying strange items. Power cores, targeting computers, hull plating, not the purchases of a normal salvage worker. Made a note and continued watching. 3 days later, Sung was eating lunch in a small human restaurant when someone sat down across from him. He looked up and saw Hana. Hana was 25, a cargo pilot with short black hair and a scar on her chin. She was one of the few people on the station that Sung actually talked to. They had met 2 years ago when he repaired her ship for half the normal price. Since then, she had appointed herself as his unofficial older sister. "Someone is asking about you," Hana said quietly. Sung kept eating. "Who?" "A merchant type. He has been talking to people in the salvage yards, asking what you buy, where you go." She leaned closer. "Sung, what are you doing that would make someone that interested?" "Nothing important." Hana stared at him. She knew he was lying. She had known for years that he was hiding something. But she also knew that pushing him would not work. He was like a closed door. You could knock all you wanted, but he would only open when he was ready. "Just be careful," she said. "That has syndicate marks on his ship. They are not people you want to notice you." Sung nodded. "Thank you for telling me." Hana watched him for a moment longer, then stood up. "I have a cargo run tomorrow. I will be gone for a week. Try not to get killed while I am away." "I will try." She left and Sung finished his meal slowly. His face showed nothing, but his mind was working fast. Someone was investigating him. That meant his time was running short. That night he worked on the Songbird until his hands shook from exhaustion. He installed the new power cores and ran diagnostic tests. The ship hummed with energy, like a living thing waking up. 2 weeks later, Merchant found the cargo bay. He used bribes and database searches to trace the fake company. When he saw the ship through a small window in the door, his 4 hands trembled with excitement. He immediately contacted his superiors in the syndicate. "I found something," he said. "Something valuable. A human has built a ship unlike anything I have ever seen." The response came quickly. "We are sending someone to collect it, and the human who built it." Smiled. He was going to be rewarded well for this discovery. Inside the cargo bay, the Songbird waited in silence, and Sung, the quiet salvage worker, continued his work. He did not know that enemies were coming, but he had been preparing for this moment his entire life. The corridors of the lower station were empty at night. Most workers had gone to their quarters. The lights were dim, saving power for the morning shift. Sung walked alone, carrying a bag of tools over his shoulder. He was thinking about shield frequencies when they stepped out of the shadows. 4 of them, 2 with thick arms and faces, 1 carrying a shock stick, and a human with dead eyes and a pistol on his hip. They blocked the corridor ahead and behind, professional, organized. Sung stopped walking. He looked at each of them slowly. His face showed nothing. "Sung," the human said, "you need to come with us. Someone wants to talk to you." "Who?" "Boss, he runs things in this sector. You probably heard of him." Sung had heard of him. Was a crime lord who controlled the syndicate's operations on Meridian 7. Drugs, weapons, stolen cargo, people who crossed him disappeared. Station security pretended not to notice. "What does he want?" Sung asked. "That is not for me to say. Now walk." They took him through back corridors to a warehouse in the industrial section. The inside had been converted into an office. Expensive furniture, screens showing security feeds from across the station, armed guards at every door. Boss was sitting behind a large desk. He was a but bigger than most. His gray skin was covered with old scars. His eyes were like black stones. When he smiled, his teeth were sharp and yellow. The famous human engineer said. His voice was deep and rough. "Please sit down." There was a chair in front of the desk. Sung sat. His hands rested on his knees, calm, still. Studied him for a long moment. "You are younger than I expected. How old are you?" 20, 22. 22. 22 years old, and you built something that made my best technicians very excited. Touched a screen on his desk. An image appeared. It was the Songbird, photographed through the cargo bay window. "Tell me about this ship." Sung looked at the image. 6 years of work, 6 years of secrets, now exposed. "It is a personal project," he said. Laughed. The sound was ugly. "A personal project. A salvage worker who makes 300 credits a week built a ship that my experts cannot even identify. Where did you get the designs? Who paid for the materials? Who are you working for?" "Nobody. I built it alone." "I do not believe you." "That is your choice." Smile disappeared. He leaned forward and his eyes became cold. "Let me explain your situation, little human. You have something that belongs to me now. Everything on this station belongs to me. The air you breathe, the food you eat, the people you care about." He touched the screen again. New images appeared. Hana loading cargo onto her ship. And another image. A woman in a medical uniform working in a small clinic. Sung recognized her. 1. A human doctor who ran a free clinic for workers who could not afford real medical care. Sung had visited her clinic twice for minor injuries. He had never spoken more than a few words to her, but he had noticed her kindness, her gentle hands, the way she treated every patient with respect. "Your pilot friend," said, "and the pretty doctor, it would be sad if something happened to them." Sung's hands tightened on his knees, just slightly, just for a moment. Saw it and smiled again. "Good, you understand. Now here is what will happen. You will give me the ship. You will give me all your technical data, every design, every modification, everything in your head that made this possible, and in return I will let you and your friends live. And if I refuse?" Then the pilot dies first, then the doctor, then you, but slowly, sat back. "I am a businessman. I prefer the simple option. Give me what I want and nobody gets hurt." Sung was quiet for a long time. He looked at the images of Hana and One. He looked at the image of his ship. Then he looked at. "I need time," he said, "to prepare the transfer, to organize the technical data." "How much time?" 3 days. Considered this. The young human seemed scared, defeated. Just another weak human trying to delay the inevitable. It was almost disappointing. 3 days, agreed. "Not 1 hour more. My people will watch you. If you try to run, if you try to contact anyone for help, the women die immediately. Understand?" Sung nodded. "I understand." "Good, now get out." The guards escorted Sung back to the main corridors and left him there. He stood alone in the dim light for a moment. Then he started walking. His route took him past the medical section. Through a window he could see One's clinic. It was late, but she was still there, treating a worker with a burned hand. She was focused on her patient, gentle and careful. She did not know that her life had just been threatened by a crime lord. Sung watched her for a moment, then he turned and walked away. He returned to his cargo bay. The door opened and the lights came on, revealing the Songbird. He walked around the ship slowly, running his hands along the hull. 6 years of work. Every piece chosen carefully. Every system designed to work together. A machine built from anger and loss and the promise of a 12-year-old boy in a cargo container. Thought he was dealing with a scared young human, a salvage worker with no power and no choices. He was wrong. Sung climbed into the ship and sat in the pilot's chair. He activated the main systems. The screens around him lit up with data, weapons, shields, engines, navigation. Everything was ready except for a few minor calibrations. He had planned to wait 2 more months, to finish every detail, to test every system perfectly. But plans changed. They always did. He opened a communication channel to Hana's ship. She was still on her cargo run, 2 days away from the station. Hana, it is Sung. Hey, what is wrong? You sound strange. I need you to listen carefully. When you return to the station, do not go to your quarters. Go directly to the emergency shelter in Section 14. Stay there until I contact you. There was a pause. Sung, what is happening? I cannot explain now. Please trust me. Another pause. Then Hana's voice came back, serious and steady. Okay, I trust you, but when this is over, you are going to tell me everything. I will, I promise. He ended the call and sat in silence. Then he began to work. He had 3 days to finish what should have taken 2 months, 3 days to prepare for a fight that had been 10 years in the making. The songbird systems hummed around him. The ship was waking up, responding to his commands like an extension of his own body. He had built it piece by piece, learned every wire and circuit. He knew its capabilities better than anyone in the galaxy. Had made a mistake. He had threatened a young human and assumed he was weak. He had looked at Sung and seen a victim, a nobody, a salvage worker with nothing to lose. But Sung had already lost everything once. His parents, his home, his childhood. He had spent 10 years preparing to make sure it never happened again. Now someone had threatened the few people he cared about. Hana, who called him brother. One who showed kindness to strangers. They did not deserve to die because of him. Sung worked through the night. His hands moved fast and sure. Power systems, weapon calibrations, shield configurations. The ship came alive around him piece by piece. 3 days, that was all he needed. When the time came and his syndicate would learn an important lesson about humans, they looked small, they looked weak, but when you threatened what they loved, they became something else entirely. Something dangerous. On the second day, Sung left his cargo bay for the first time since threat. He knew he was being watched. 2 of his men followed him through the station corridors. They kept their distance but made no attempt to hide. Let them watch, Sung thought. Let them report everything. He walked to the medical section and entered one's clinic. The waiting room was small and crowded with workers of different species. A child with a cough, with a broken arm, a human woman holding a crying baby. One was at the front desk, organizing patient files. She looked up when Sung entered. Oh, hello, are you injured? No, I came to talk to you. One studied his face. She was 30 years old, with tired eyes and kind hands. Her medical uniform was old but clean. She worked 18 hours a day for almost no money, treating workers that nobody else cared about. Sung had admired her from a distance for 2 years. He had never found the courage to speak to her properly. Now there was no more time for courage. Can we talk privately? He asked. One led him to a small examination room and closed the door. What is this about? You are in danger. There are people who might try to hurt you because of me. I need you to leave the clinic tomorrow morning and go to the emergency shelter in Section 14. Stay there until I contact you. One's expression did not change. She had worked on the station for years. She knew about the syndicates, about the violence that happened in the shadows. Why would anyone want to hurt me because of you? She asked. I barely know you. I know, and I am sorry. I never wanted this. Sung looked at her. But please trust me tomorrow morning. Section 14. Can you do that? One was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, I will trust you, but you should know that I do not leave my patients easily, if this is some kind of trick. It is not a trick. I am trying to protect you. Why? The question surprised him. He did not have a good answer. Because she was kind. Because she helped people without asking for anything. Because in a station full of corruption and cruelty, she was something good. Because you deserve better than this, he said finally. Everyone who comes to your clinic deserves better. and I can do something about it." He left before she could ask more questions. The watchers followed him back to the lower levels. He returned to his cargo bay and sealed the door. That night, alone in his ship, Sung allowed himself to remember. He was 12 years old again. The colony transport was breaking apart around him. Explosions shook the hull. Emergency lights flashed red. People screamed and ran and died. His mother had pushed him into a cargo container. "Hide here," she said. "Do not come out no matter what happens." Her face was bleeding. Her hands were shaking. "I love you, Sung, always." Then she closed the container door, and he never saw her again. For 3 days he stayed in that container. He heard the pirates boarding. He heard them killing survivors. He heard them laughing as they took everything valuable. When they finally left, the transport was silent except for the hiss of escaping air. Rescue ships found him 72 hours later. He was the only living thing on a ship of 200 dead. After that, he made himself a promise. He would never be helpless again. He would learn. He would build. He would become strong enough that nobody could ever take anything from him again. Sung opened his eyes. The memories faded, but the anger remained, cold and steady like the hum of the ship around him. The third day arrived. Sung finished the final calibrations on his weapon systems. He ran diagnostic tests on every circuit. The Songbird was ready. Not perfect, but ready. Sometimes good enough was all you could ask for. He sat in the pilot's chair and activated the ship's artificial intelligence. He had programmed it himself, spending months on the code. A simple AI, but reliable. "System online," said a soft female voice. "Good morning, Captain." "Good morning. Begin pre-flight sequence." "Acknowledged. All systems operating within normal parameters. Shields at 92%. Weapons at full capacity. Engines ready for activation." Sung checked the time. It was early afternoon. Would send his people soon, probably with extra forces. The syndicate boss wanted his prize. He opened a communication channel to the emergency shelter. Hana's voice answered immediately. "Sung, what is happening? Are you in the shelter?" "Yes, I got here an hour ago. One is here too. She said you sent her." Hana paused. "Sung, you need to tell me what is going on now." "I will explain everything soon. Just stay there. Stay safe. No matter what you hear, do not leave that shelter until I come for you." "You are scaring me." "I know, I am sorry." He closed the channel. An alarm beeped on his console. Motion sensors outside the cargo bay. Multiple contacts approaching. Sung counted 12 life signs plus weapon signatures. They were early. He activated the external cameras. Was there, standing at the front of a group of armed enforcers. And humans, professional killers. They carried heavy weapons and wore body armor. Spoke through a communicator. "Time is up, little engineer. Open the door." Sung did not answer. Instead, he initiated the engine start sequence. The Songbird began to vibrate as power flowed through its systems. "Open the door or we cut our way in. Either way, I am taking that ship." Sung reached for the cargo bay controls. The massive external doors began to open, revealing the vacuum of space outside. Warning alarms sounded throughout the area. Air rushed out, and his men scrambled for emergency breathers. But Sung was already lifting off. The Songbird rose smoothly from the cargo bay floor. Its shields activated, creating a bubble of protection around the hull. The engines glowed bright blue as the ship moved toward the opening. Screamed orders. His men opened fire. Energy weapons and projectiles hit the ship's shields and bounced away harmlessly. Sung's voice came through the cargo bay speakers. It was calm and clear. "This is your only warning. Leave this station. Leave this sector. Never come back. If you threaten anyone I care about again, I will find you, and I will end you." His face twisted with rage. You think you can scare me? I own this station. I own this system. You are nothing, a salvage worker, a child. I was a child once, Sung replied. Then people like you took everything from me. You created what I am now. Remember that. The songbird cleared the cargo bay and moved into open space. Watched it go, his hands clenched into fists. Contact our gunships, he ordered. I want that ship destroyed. I want that human brought to me alive. He is going to suffer for this. 3 Syndicate gunships were already moving to intercept. They were combat vessels, crewed by experienced pirates who had destroyed dozens of ships. They formed an attack pattern and closed on the songbird. Sung watched them approach on his screens, 3 against 1. By normal standards, those were impossible odds. But the songbird was not a normal ship, and Sung was not a normal pilot. Tactical systems ready, the AI reported. Targets locked. Sung took a slow breath. He thought about his parents, about Hana and one waiting in the shelter, about the promise he made to himself 10 years ago. Begin attack sequence, he said. The songbird's engines flared bright, and the ship shot forward like an arrow toward the enemy. In the command center of Station Meridian 7, Security Chief Ho watched his screens with growing disbelief. He was 45 years old, a tired man with gray hair and a face full of worry lines. He had worked on this station for 15 years. He had seen many things, but nothing like this. What is happening out there? He asked. His deputy, a young woman named Min, pulled up the external camera feeds. 3 Syndicate gunships are engaging an unknown vessel that just launched from Cargo Bay 47. The unknown vessel appears to be winning. Winning against 3 gunships. Yes, sir, it is not even close. Ho moved closer to the screen. The unknown ship was small and dark, moving through space in ways that should not be possible. It spun and rolled and changed direction instantly, like the laws of physics did not apply. Energy beams shot from the gunships and missed completely. The small ship was simply too fast. Then the small ship fired back. Twin beams of white light lanced out from its nose. The first gunship's shields flickered and died in 2 seconds. The second shot went through the hull. The gunship broke apart in a silent explosion of metal and fire. 1 gunship destroyed, Min reported. Her voice was shaking. The other 2 are breaking formation. Ho watched as the small ship pursued them. It moved like a predator chasing wounded prey. Another burst of fire. A second gunship lost its engines and began spinning helplessly. Who is flying that thing? Ho whispered. The communication system crackled. A calm voice spoke across all station frequencies. This is the vessel Songbird to all Syndicate forces. Your gunships are destroyed or disabled. Your operation on this station is finished. Any Syndicate vessel that enters this sector again will be destroyed without warning. This is your final notice. The third gunship did not wait to hear more. It turned and fled toward the edge of the system, engines at maximum power. The Songbird did not pursue. It simply hung in space, shields glowing softly, watching the enemy run. Ho let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Get me information on that ship. I want to know who built it, who is flying it, and how they got it onto my station. Inside the Songbird, Sung sat very still. His hands rested on the controls. His heart was beating fast, but his face showed nothing. On the screens around him, the 2 disabled gunships drifted silently. Escape pods launched from both, carrying survivors toward the station. All hostile vessels neutralized, the AI reported. No damage to our systems, shields at 87%. Good, monitor the escape pods. Make sure they reach the station safely. Acknowledged. Sung had not wanted to kill anyone today. The first gunship had given him no choice. It had come straight at him, weapons firing, clearly intending to destroy rather than disable. The others had surrendered quickly once they saw what they were facing. He allowed himself a small moment of satisfaction, 6 years of work, thousands of hours of planning and building. All of it had been for this moment, and it had worked. But the battle was not over, was still on the station, and still had men near Hana and One. Sung opened a communication channel. Hana, are you there? I am here. What was that? The whole station shook. People are saying there is a battle outside. The battle is over. Are you both safe? Yes, One is with me. We are fine. Stay there, might try something desperate. I am coming back to the station. He guided the songbird toward the main docking area. Station security was scrambling, but no one tried to stop him. After what they had just witnessed, stopping him would be suicide. On the station, Boss received reports from his surviving men. His face was gray with fury. 3 gunships, his best ships, destroyed by one small vessel flown by a salvage worker. How, he demanded, how is this possible? Merchant stood nearby, his 4 hands trembling. I do not know, the technology on that ship. It should not exist. No single species has those capabilities. He must have combined systems from multiple sources, but to make them work together like that. I do not care how he did it, I care about killing him. Turned to his remaining enforcers. The human threatened people, a pilot and a doctor. Find them, bring them to me. If I cannot have his ship, I will have his pain. The enforcers moved out. They had information that the 2 women were in the emergency shelter in Section 14. It was a public space, but did not care about witnesses anymore. He wanted blood. But when they arrived at Section 14, they found the shelter doors sealed. Armed workers stood outside, not security, just workers. Humans, even some. They carried tools and makeshift weapons. They looked scared but determined. The doctor helped my daughter when no one else would, said one human man. You are not touching her. My brother is alive because of that clinic, said a woman. Go away. More people gathered. Word had spread through the lower levels. The salvage worker had fought the syndicate and won. The doctor who helped the poor was in danger. Something had changed on Station Meridian 7. The fear that had kept people silent for years was breaking. The enforcers hesitated. They were killers, but they were not stupid. If they attacked this crowd, there would be a riot. They retreated to report to. Meanwhile, station security was finally moving. Chief Ho had spent years pretending not to see the syndicate's crimes. He had no choice. Owned too many officials, had too many weapons, but now's gunships were destroyed. His reputation was shattered. The balance of power had shifted in a single hour. Arrest Boss, Ho ordered, and all his known associates. I want them off my station before the day ends. Sir, the syndicate has friends in the colonial government. The syndicate just attacked a station in colonial space. They fired weapons near civilian areas. They threatened residents. That gives me authority to act. Ho straightened his uniform. I should have done this years ago. Maybe that young man gave me the courage I needed. Security forces moved through the station. They found in his warehouse office, surrounded by his last loyal guards. The crime boss looked at the security officers with contempt. You think this changes anything? I will be free within a week. I have lawyers, I have connections. Maybe, said Ho, entering the room. But right now you are under arrest, and right now your power is gone. That will have to be enough. Sung landed the songbird in a secondary docking bay. When he emerged from the ship, he found Chief Ho waiting for him. The security chief studied the young man for a long moment. Sung, salvage worker, born on colony transport Bright Star, which was destroyed by pirates 12 years ago. Ho shook his head. No criminal record, no military training, no technical certifications beyond basic salvage work. Is there a problem, Chief? You just destroyed 2 syndicate gunships and disabled a third. You did it with a ship that apparently does not exist, using weapons that my experts cannot identify. Ho almost smiled. I should arrest you for about 15 different violations. Instead, I am going to ask you a question. Ask, who are you really? Sung looked at him. For a moment he considered lying. He had been lying for 6 years. It was a habit, but something had changed today. He had stopped hiding. I am just a salvage worker, he said. A salvage worker who learned to build things. That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have. Ho studied him for another moment. Then he nodded slowly. The syndicate is finished on this station, is in custody. His people are running or surrendering. You did something today that I could not do in 15 years. You could have done it, Sung said. You just needed a reason. Maybe, Ho extended his hand. Thank you, on behalf of everyone on this station, thank you. Sung shook his hand. It felt strange. He was not used to gratitude, he was not used to being seen. He left the docking bay and walked towards Section 14. People stared at him as he passed. Some nodded, some whispered. The story was already spreading. The quiet salvage worker who built an impossible ship, the young human who broke the syndicate. He did not care about fame. He only cared about two people waiting in a shelter, wondering if they were safe. It was time to keep his promise. 1 week after the battle, Station Meridian 7 was a different place. The syndicate had withdrawn all operations from the sector, was in a colonial prison, awaiting trial for dozens of charges. His former enforcers had scattered like insects when the light turned on. And everyone was talking about the songbird. Sung sat in his old cargo bay, now empty except for maintenance equipment. The songbird was docked in a proper bay now, officially registered with station security. No more secrets, no more hiding. It felt strange. Hana came to visit every day. She had demanded a full explanation after the battle. Sung had told her everything. The colony transport, the promise, the 6 years of building. She had listened without interrupting. When he finished, she had hugged him for a long time. You stupid, brilliant, impossible human, she had said. You could have told me, I would have helped. I know, I was afraid to involve anyone else. Well, you are stuck with me now, deal with it. Today, Hana arrived with news. 3 more delegations came to the station this morning. Merchants, military officers, even some human corporate types. They all want to meet you. What do they want? Same thing as everyone else, your ship, your technology, your skills. One of them offered 10 million credits just for a tour of the songbird. Hana sat down across from him. What are you going to tell them? No. That is what I figured, she smiled. You know you could be rich, famous, powerful. Everyone in the galaxy wants what you built. I did not build it for them, I built it for me. Sung looked at his hands. For a long time I thought I built it for revenge, to hurt the people who hurt me, but that was not really true. Then why? So I would never be helpless again, so I could protect what matters to me. He looked at Hana. You, this station, the people who cannot protect themselves. Hana was quiet for a moment, then she leaned forward. Speaking of when are you going to talk to her properly? She has been asking about you. She has. Of course she has. You saved her life. You sent her cryptic warnings and then flew out and destroyed 3 warships. She has questions. Hana grinned. Also, I think she likes you, but that is just my opinion. Sung did not know what to say. He had spent so many years alone, focused on his work. The idea of someone liking him was foreign, strange, frightening in a different way than facing gunships. Maybe I will visit the clinic tomorrow, he said finally. Good, now come on, Chief Ho wants to see you. He has a proposal. They walked through the station together. People recognized Sung now. Some nodded respectfully, some smiled. Children pointed and whispered to their parents. The quiet salvage worker had become something else, a legend, a symbol. Sung did not feel like a legend. He felt like the same person he had always been, just tired and confused about what came next. Chief Ho met them in his office. The security chief looked better than he had in years. Standing up to the syndicate had lifted a weight from his shoulders. "Thank you for coming," Ho said. "Please sit down. I have something to discuss with you." Sung sat. Hana stood by the door, curious. "The colonial government is interested in you," Ho began. "They have watched the recordings of your battle. They have analyzed what little data we have on your ship. They are impressed and concerned in equal measure." Concerned. A single individual with that much firepower is a threat to stability. That is how they see it. Ho raised a hand. "I disagreed with them. I told them that you only fought to protect people. But politicians are politicians. They want to control what they cannot understand." "What do they want from me?" They offered several options. You could join the colonial military. You could sell your technology to authorized contractors. You could accept oversight and monitoring of your activities. Ho paused. "I rejected all of these on your behalf. I hope that was correct." Sung almost smiled. "It was correct. What else did they say?" "I made a counter-proposal. This sector needs protection. The syndicate is gone, but there are pirates, smugglers, and other threats. Station security does not have the resources to handle everything. I suggested creating a new position, an independent protector, someone who answers to the station and its people, not to corporate interests or distant politicians." "You want me to be a security officer?" "No, I want you to be something new, a guardian. You would protect this sector using your own judgment and your own methods. The station would provide support and resources. In return, you would help anyone who needs it, regardless of species or status." Ho leaned forward. "It is not a perfect arrangement. There will be questions, complications. But it would let you do what you have already shown you want to do, protect people." Sung thought about this. For 6 years he had lived alone with his anger and his project. He had imagined confronting his enemies, destroying them, making them pay. But now that it was done, he felt empty. The anger was still there, but it was quieter, waiting to be replaced by something else. "I built the songbird from pain," he said slowly. "Every piece of it came from loss, from fear, from wanting to never feel helpless again." "I understand. But that is not all I am. That is not all I want to be." Sung looked at Ho. "If I accept this, I need conditions. I protect anyone who needs it, not just humans, anyone, and I decide when and how to act. No committees, no bureaucracy. If someone is in danger, I move." Ho nodded. "I expected nothing less. The colonial government will not like it, but they will accept it. They do not have a choice." "Then I accept." They shook hands. Hana cheered from the doorway. That evening, Sung visited one's clinic. It was busy as always, filled with workers seeking care they could not afford elsewhere. One was bandaging a child's arm when he entered. She looked up and saw him. "Wait here," she told the child. "I will be right back." She walked over to Sung. For a moment they just looked at each other. Then one spoke. "You saved my life. You destroyed warships. You broke a criminal empire." Her voice was calm, but her eyes were intense. "And before all that, you came to my clinic twice with minor injuries that you probably could have treated yourself." "Yes." "Why?" Sung struggled to find words. "Because this clinic is good. Because you help people without asking for anything. Because in a station full of corruption, you were something worth protecting." One studied his face. "That is not the whole reason." "No." "What is the whole reason?" He took a breath. "Because when I see you work, I remember that kindness still exists. And that reminds me why I built what I built. Not for revenge, for something better." One was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was small and tired and beautiful. "I need to finish with my patients. But tomorrow maybe you could come back when I am not working." She paused. "We could talk properly." "I would like that." Sung left the clinic feeling lighter than he had in years. The station hummed around him, full of life and noise and possibility. His ship waited in the docking bay. His friends were safe. A new purpose was taking shape. Far across the galaxy, in stations and ships and colonies, stories were spreading. A young human had built something impossible. He had faced overwhelming odds and won. He had protected the weak and challenged the powerful. Other young humans heard these stories, the ones who felt helpless, the ones who had lost everything, the ones who were told they were nothing, they were weak, they did not matter. They heard about Sung, and they began to wonder what they could build. The songbird had changed more than one station in one sector. It had changed what people believed was possible, and that change was just beginning.